You know something I've always loved about life? It still knows how to surprise us. Not in the big, dramatic moments we imagine or with some loud turning point. Usually it happens in the middle of ordinary days, and somehow that's what makes it beautiful. A random conversation, a message you weren't expecting, an idea that appears while you're making coffee, meeting someone who understands you without needing much explanation, finding yourself laughing on a day you thought would pass quietly. Small things, simple things, but later on, they often become the moments we remember most. Hello, my dear friend. Lately, I've been thinking about this, how the most important things in life rarely arrive loudly, almost as if they don't want to interrupt us. And that's interesting, because most of us expect life to announce itself, like there would be a clear moment where everything shifts, a sign saying, "This is it." But it rarely happens like that. Sometimes an ordinary Tuesday becomes something we never forget, and we don't even know it at the time. I've always liked that thought, because it means life isn't only happening in the moments we are chasing or planning, it's also happening right now, in quiet mornings, in ordinary walks, in conversations that don't feel significant at the time, in moments we might overlook completely if we're too focused on what isn't happening yet. And honestly, I think God has a gentle way of working like that. Not loud or dramatic, sometimes through peace or unexpected kindness, sometimes through a person who says exactly what you needed to hear without knowing it, and sometimes through doors we weren't even looking at. You know, some of the most meaningful things in life don't arrive because we force them, and some of the best things don't arrive because we finally got everything right. They arrive when we stop trying to control every detail, not because we gave up, but because something in us loosened its grip. And I think many people have experienced that, even if they didn't name it. Moments where you realize something good had been growing quietly in the background while you were busy trying to figure everything out. It's strange how easily we miss that. We are taught that effort matters, and it does. We are taught that persistence matters, and it does too. But somewhere along the way, many of us start treating life like a locked door, as if the only answer is to knock harder, try more, think more, worry more, push more. And without noticing it, we can become so focused on one door that we forget to look around us, forgetting that life might already be moving in places we aren't even watching. It's a strange thing about us. We can stand in the middle of things that are already working and still feel like nothing has started yet, as if joy is always slightly ahead of us. But maybe it isn't. Maybe joy isn't waiting somewhere far away. Maybe life isn't asking us to live in constant pursuit. Maybe we're allowed to be here, to breathe a little, to notice what's already present. Because sometimes the things we were trying so hard to force begin to shift the moment we stop holding on so tightly. Not because we stop caring, but because trust slowly enters the places where pressure used to live. And maybe some doors only open after we stop knocking. There's something interesting that happens when you stop forcing life in one direction. At first, nothing really changes outside. The same situations are still there, the same unanswered questions, the same doors that don't seem to move. Life looks almost unchanged, but internally, something starts to change, even if you can't name it properly. I remember hearing something once in passing. It wasn't said like wisdom. It was just a casual remark that stayed with me. They said, most of our worries are like trying to take part in a conversation we haven't actually entered yet. And the more I thought about it, the more accurate it felt. Because so much of the time, we're already reacting before anything has actually happened. We rehearse outcomes, we imagine responses, we build entire emotional futures and then live inside them as if they're real. It splits something in us. One part of you is here, in the actual moment, and another part is already ahead, trying to fix, prepare, or prevent something that hasn't even arrived. And when that happens for long enough, waiting stops feeling calm. It becomes a kind of background tension, not loud, but constant. You're no longer just living today, you're negotiating with tomorrow while still sitting in today. And that's usually when exhaustion shows up in a way you can't fully explain. Not because life is too heavy, but because your attention is no longer in one place. There's a strange thing that happens there. You begin to treat uncertainty like unfinished responsibility, as if you're supposed to mentally solve what life hasn't even revealed yet. And slowly, without noticing it, presence starts to thin out. You're technically living your day, but part of you is always slightly elsewhere. And maybe that's where something quietly breaks down. Because when you're split like that for long enough, you start assuming the discomfort means something is wrong. But it might not be that at all. It might just be the cost of carrying too many imagined versions of reality at the same time. I think this is where something deeper begins to form. Not control or certainty, something quieter than both. Trust. Not the kind of trust that removes questions, but the kind that stops you from needing every question answered before you can breathe. And I think that's closer to what faith actually looks like. Not a constant state of clarity, more like small, ordinary participation in life without needing to fully decode it first. Making breakfast without needing to know how the whole year will go. Walking without mentally solving your future. Laughing without checking if everything is aligned yet. Just being inside the moment you're actually in. When I think back, some of my strongest memories were never big turning points. They were extremely ordinary. A conversation that went nowhere important, but felt warm. An evening where nothing special happened, but everything felt okay. A moment of silence that didn't need to be filled. At the time, they didn't feel meaningful at all. They just felt like life passing by. But somehow, years later, those are often the memories that stay. And that makes you wonder, how much of life is actually happening quietly in the background while we're focused elsewhere? Because life isn't mostly dramatic, it's mostly normal days, and maybe that's why it's so easy to miss it while it's happening. I think God often works in that same quietness, not always in interruption or intensity, but in subtle shifts you only recognize later as guidance, small adjustments in direction, unexpected peace in moments that should feel heavier. People crossing your path at the exact right time, even if it doesn't look like anything special in the moment. Nothing announces itself, but somehow things still move. And when you look back later, you start noticing a pattern you couldn't see while you were inside it. Life was never actually static. It was just unfolding in a way you weren't yet positioned to interpret. And maybe that's what changes when you stop forcing things. Life doesn't suddenly become perfect. You simply stop standing in front of it as though everything depends on your control. Life starts feeling livable again, and in that state, something subtle happens. You start noticing small things again. You're less mentally crowded. You breathe differently. Even silence feels less like emptiness and more like space. And over time, you realize something simple but important. You were never really stuck. You were just overloaded with trying to be ahead of your own life. And once that pressure softens, life doesn't suddenly become different. You do. And maybe that's what we were missing all along. Not more answers, but more presence inside the questions. Because life has a way of meeting you there, in the place where you finally stop trying to control it all. And in that space, life begins to feel like a gift again.